I'm Motley Fool Canada senior analyst Nick Seipel, and this is the 5 Minute Major, here to make you a smarter investor in about 5 minutes. Today, we're discussing National Bank's $5 billion offer to buy Canadian Western Bank. My guest today is Hidden Gems Canada lead advisor, Jim Gillies. Jim, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for the invite, Nick.
Excited to have you here with me, Jim. On Tuesday, June 11th, National Bank of Canada unveiled an offer to buy Canadian Western Bank for $52.24 per share in cash and stock, a whopping 110% premium to Tuesday's closing price. Jim, why are we seeing this deal right now, and why at this huge premium?
Well, there's not a lot of opportunities for growth within the Canadian banking sector, at least domestically. Okay. The industry is dominated by the so-called Big Six. That would be Royal Bank, TD, Bank of Nova Scotia, Bank of Montreal, CIBC, and the smallest of them, the sixth largest one, is National Bank, who is making this offer. They basically control the entire industry in Canada. So there's not a lot of opportunities. In the late 90s, there was an attempt for four of the big five to merge. TD and CIBC tried to merge, and BMO and Royal Bank tried to merge. The government, they shut them down. So you've really got, you're not going to have any more large competitors in our space. They have thus gone into the US, and in the case of Bank of Nova Scotia, more Latin America in the last couple of decades. That's gone okay with a couple of spectacular blowups. I'm looking at TD here right now, where their most recent attempt at acquisition fell apart. But even things like Bank of the West, which BMO recently acquired, there were a couple of hurdles on that. It took a little bit. So there's not a lot of opportunities for them. And again, National's the smallest of the big six, and they're the least spread across Canada. Ironically, they're the least national, that being National Bank. And so they are getting Western exposure by going and acquiring Canadian Western Bank here. And also too, because they're the smallest of the big six, CWB can have the most influence on their results than, and they'll have more results on $37 billion, $38 billion market cap National than they will on $208 billion market cap Royal Bank of Canada. So, I think there was a logical acquirer, that being National. But we've had some recent consolidation in Canada. We've had another deal a couple of years ago where EQB bought Concentra. At the time, EQB was the ninth largest in Canada. Concentra was the 13th. Now together, they're the seventh largest. But again, after National, there's a big drop before you get to EQB.
Yeah, so Jim, you look today, Canadian Western Bank shares up about 70% on the deal news, but still trading nearly 20% below the proposed deal price, likely reflecting concerns you mentioned earlier have blocked bank mergers in Canada in the past. Some concerns maybe that regulators won't allow this deal to go through. How do you rate the likelihood of this deal closing? Do you think there's maybe a merger arbitrage opportunity here?
I'm going to go merger arbitrage. I think there's almost zero chance this gets blocked. And I that's just setting me up for a fall later, right? But when the two larger, when TD and CIBC tried to get together, when BMO and Royal tried to get together, they were much larger, and it would have concentrated everything in three very large hands. This is pretty small. Okay. National, again, is about a $38 billion market cap company. After today's boost, Canadian Western Bank is barely a $4 billion company. To put that into perspective, Royal Bank of Canada's most recent quarter, they had 4.1 billion in adjusted earnings. Okay. Their earnings for a quarter were larger than this deal size. The other reason why I think maybe the deal looks a little, or the Nationals down, and why there looks like there's a big gap, is this is a stock for stock deal. They are talking, Nationals talking about giving 0.45 shares of National. So National is down on news for the day. I think it'll be fine, but for today it's down. So that drops the effective merger price by a little bit, but I'm not terribly worried about that. And again, regulators, no one stepped in to block EQB buying Concentra. Again, that is still the seventh largest bank in Canada, but it's now smaller than CWB. Okay, so I don't think there's a large chance this gets blocked. If they do, I think we've got other issues to talk about, namely, why it's okay to have the size of profitability at the bigger ones.
Yeah, well, we'll see how things play out from here. Jim, that's all the time we have for this edition of the 5 Minute Major. Hopefully we did a great job. Hopefully we'll see you next time. Full on.
Cheers.